Hey, what's up, guys? Super stoked. We're back here for our second episode, number 2. Got a really special guest here, as childhood hero of mine, 7-time Supercross champion, 2-time 125 West Coast Supercross champion, 89 wins total, 4-time X Games medalist.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
Like you said, Kyle, my childhood hero, your childhood hero, Jeremy McGrath. I mean, let's stop wasting time. Let's get into it. We got the king. Let's go.
Yeah, buddy. How you doing?
What's up, guys? Good to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for reserving number 2 for me.
Yeah.
number 1 in our hearts, but we wanted to get the first one kind of.
I mean, it would have been cool to be 1 or 2.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah, you're down with either.
Yeah, exactly.
1, 2, 2, 1.
A lot of people ask me why I don't ever run number 1. I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I could. I had it for long enough. So people are like, you should be number 1. I'm like, well, it's just kind of corny if I run number 1.
Yeah, you know a funny little piece of memory I have on that?
Mm-hmm.
It was I was at the press conference at Anaheim 1 right before that, and it was the years. Tell me if you remember this, but somebody asked the question to you. This was kind of like right after you'd stopped racing.
Yeah.
It was like, do you want people to remember you as number 1 or number 2? And you're like, well, I'm number 2, but I'm pretty sure like you get it.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of cool. I was like, yeah.
It's funny because, like, at the end of your racing career, I was number 1 or I was number 2 or I was number 15. I mean, there was a few numbers I was, but at the end of it, you don't really think ahead. Like, okay, what I'm going to go ride my bike till I die, right?
Yeah.
So what am I going to have on my bike?
Yeah.
I have to have a number. And it would be corny to run number 1.
It would be super
all the time,
strange
yeah.
if you had the number 1
Yeah,
for
it'd be
some
like-
reason. Yeah.
It'd be really weird. I mean, it'd be as dumb as if we saw some dude at the track that we don't know
Yeah.
that was never a champion that had number 1. You're like, look at that dude. What's he doing?
Everyone's going to take that guy out, too.
Right. It's a target on his back. So I just was like, when they went to the permanent number system, and if you weren't the champ, the guy who had the most championships got to pick his first number. That's where the number 2 came from, right?
Yeah.
So if I wasn't the champ at the time, which I wasn't, I got first pick of numbers. So of course I just picked number 2. And then that's kind of just how that happened. And then, for a lot of my career, we didn't have like permanent numbers.
No, it was one of the funnest things for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, what are the new numbers?
Yeah.
Like, and it all changed, learning who everyone else is. And I guess they wanted to, like, take that part out of the sport for people.
Well, I think that might have been another Carmichael thing, actually, because when he came along and he was number 4.
Yeah.
And then when he won the championship, he wanted to stay number 4 because he wanted to sell more T-shirts.
Yeah. They're all
Which
like
sort
that.
of, it makes sense. It's your merchandise thing. It was starting to kind of all happen and all that. But
Yeah.
I think it was more like NASCAR thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but in NASCAR, the teams own the numbers, right? So if a driver leaves, the team remains with that number.
Is that around when Monster bought the NASCAR series? It was all kind
No,
of
this is
way
way
before
that.
before
Way
Supercross
before.
ever
Yeah.
had permanent numbers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when Dale Earnhardt was number 3 forever,
Yeah.
or whatever.
But that's because the car owner had the number, right?
Right.
So they kind
Childress,
of.
yeah.
It doesn't really translate that well. in our
Yeah,
sport.
well, I mean, I don't know. The teams couldn't really own the numbers, right? It could be kind of weird in
But then,
Supercross.
look, there's MC2, the original.
Yeah.
Then there's RV2.
Yep.
And then there's CW2, like Cooper Webb.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
strange, but I don't know. That's just how it is. There's only,
Hey, the
there's
2,
only
though.
10 numbers or 9 one-digit numbers.
The
so.
2s are pretty good, though. Like, Villapoto was bad, dude.
Bill Putto was amazing.
Freaking
Yeah,
He
ripped.
represented.
yeah,
But then,
he represented
And
well.
Cooper's bad, dude.
But then you had like
Rips.
Blake Baggett, number 4, and you're like, that didn't exactly translate.
Well, I
but-
mean, who can compare to Carmichael?
Nobody.
Not a lot of people. Nobody.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
tough.
That's a tough road to hoe there, that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
so really, number's just a number.
yeah,
Don't matter.
yeah. I mean,
Stewart did pretty good with like 259.
yeah.
yeah, he ran that good.
I mean,
That thing.
3 digi, he was killing it.
Yeah. So, dude, let's dive into A1 a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear a little bit of your opinions on some of the stuff. Jeff, you got anything you want to ask him about?
Well, I just kind of have some mental notes, like the 250 class. One of the biggest surprising to me is that Juju Baumier. I don't know exactly how to
They
pronounce
call
his
him
name.
Julian Beaumer.
Yeah, Julian Beaumer, but
Beaumer,
I've heard him
yeah.
call him Juju and stuff
Beaumer
for
or
shoot.
whatever, yeah.
But man, 17 years old, looks like he grew up racing jet skis in Havasu.
Well, that's what they were saying, right, on TV.
Yeah, and I leads the main, like.
Oh, that kid's fast, dude.
No, he's legit.
Yeah.
And
in the main, he didn't take no shit either. He like got
He
past
rode
and he
good.
passed back. He's like, no.
and like I don't know, I just think it's
So that was kind of cool, refreshing to see.
I've been watching.
You got the 17-year-old and you got Hampshire. How old is he? Like 31.
So
Yep,
this
there
is
he
what I was
goes.
going to get into. So
I mean, how many years can you race
I'm
in
not
250 class?
trying to put anyone down, but so the 17-year-old, that's his first race. He's without these couple guys up there, he's leading a lot longer. These two 30-plus-year-old guys, RJ
Absolutely.
Hampshire and Jordan Smith have been in the class for 10-plus years. I think maybe 10 each. They have wives, they have kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty out of control. And Brian Deegan just posted something yesterday I read, and he kind of was like, what's up with this? Like, are we going to look at it? Like, is it taking away from our, like, making it a step to the premier class? Like, is it good? Is it bad?
Well,
Like,
yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a few years ago they did away with the whole pointing out thing.
they change it all the time.
Yeah, they did.
So
They were
that's
talking
why
about
these
that.
30-year-old guys are in this. They can sit in there and have a career, right?
can
I mean,
make
years ago, Pingree did that, right? He
Yeah.
ran that class for I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
It
Dude.
seems like easy to do. If you can't make the next step or you're a little unsure, you could just hurt your ankle,
GL
stay out for a few
can
months,
just-
miss Supercross, and the next year, here you are.
came back down to pro circuit. He won each coast, an East and a West 250 title.
At least he did step it up and ride the
But then he
450
went
like
back,
a boss. He won an
got
outdoor
up,
He
title.
won the title
Yeah.
outdoor, so he did.
But
Yeah,
it's
and he-
just like, I just don't know what is right. Like, should it be cut off at 25? Should we want everyone in the premier class? Because that's kind of how we're throwing it out there. Or are these two equal national classes that, should there be East-West 250 anymore if there's no age limit? Or, like, you can't get kicked out? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
There's so
I mean,
many-
affordability for sure for youngsters,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, is it fair that I mean, Beaumer is a perfect example, but I mean, he's a top of his age group. He's going to be a great rider. You can tell.
yeah.
But is it fair that he has to go out there and race those guys that have 10 seasons?
They have
under
a
their belt?
decade of Supercross experience over him.
You know who
Well,
was
here's the opposite of that, right? Here's the opposite. If you throw RJ Hampshire in a 450 ride, he basically retired in another year.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
So you're shelling him out of the sport. He's a good kid for the sport.
Yeah.
He's a good dude for the sport.
That's
So, like,
catch-22.
yeah, it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
You're kind of sitting.
Do you
on-
remember RJ riding that 450 at Daytona though?
He won the heat.
He rode it pretty good.
but he didn't
dude.
race the main.
Yeah,
He won,
but he ripped it.
so, I don't
But
know. But
Hey,
no.
you know how it is. It's
He rides a pretty certain way. I don't know if it's very
Yeah, that's
sustainable
true.
on
Yeah.
a
people
450.
come
Sustainable,
along and
yeah.
they ride real well until they get smacked down by that bike
Ooh,
once
yeah.
or twice, and it resets them a little bit.
Hey,
So-
props to him and Jordan Smith, two of the toughest SOBs I've
yeah,
ever
they know
seen.
how
They
they
get
go
up,
down.
they go down, they get up, and they do it again. So
Yeah, I remember last year just thinking to myself the same exact question we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Why are these guys in this class? When Deegan was battling Smith and
Yeah,
Yeah.
Smith
there
and
you
him
go.
were battling and Deegan was trying to take him out and he was trying to take him out,
Yeah.
whatever they were doing. I'm like, okay, you got this 17-year-old kid racing the 30-year-old man. You know, at the end of this, if they wanted to get into it, it's not going to be looking too good, you know?
no. And you can't get mad at the 17-year-old kid for squirreling out and hitting the guy. He's 17. He's just learning.
Yeah,
So like
well,
you're
I
in,
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how squirrely that was, but okay. At least you got an excuse at 17.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
I don't know.
It's
I
just
just-
like two entirely different career paths in the same class. One's on their way out, one's on their way in. Who deserves to be there?
It
more?
certainly, begs the question of, does it rob the younger kids of getting in the
Opportunity, yeah.
limelight a little bit earlier?
Is it taking a factory right away from a 19-year-old kid that could be the next star? Because we got a 30-year-old on there for 2 more years.
Right, but it sounds like with the new manufacturers coming in, 250 class going to have more factory rides than there are going to be good riders. Team
Yes.
factory enough
That's
riders.
also a strange thing. Yeah.
which we've never seen.
Never had that.
Right, so I don't think we have to worry about it at the moment, but it is strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
We do have something else too we want to bring up and just get that over with and talk to you about. But go ahead, Jeff. Go
Well,
ahead.
we gotta talk about the racing first.
yeah.
No, this is
has to do with it,
this is
but
racing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Vince
What do we got?
Freeze.
Vince Freeze. Yeah. And his awesome riding etiquette.
Yeah.
Frends
What?
Fries.
Okay, so you're a fan. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What the hell? All of it, the body of work to this point. The crashing into Dean, like he shouldn't even try to pass him. Took him out, tears his shoulder, I read, or whatever, leaves his bike on the track and just walks out the tunnel. Where have you seen things like this before when you were racing? Was there a guy like that you guys were like, oh, Kyle Lewis is going to get the whole shot? Shit, we got to deal with him for a few laps. Or like something like that, or nothing to this level of just every time he's on the track. Dude, in the heat race, that dude on the Cowie, his leg got turned. Carnow. His leg's backwards
his foot
now.
went backwards.
Yeah, because of that dude cutting everyone's front end off.
Yeah.
In a heat race, he's probably not even going to finish. So what do
You
we...
know, the bad part about it is Vince Fries is a good rider.
He's really
He
good.
does not need to ride the way he does.
None of those things need to happen.
I mean, what he did this weekend, coming in on the start. I mean, there's like controlling the start, right? There's like coming over and taking advantage of your position. You got a little half a bike link on someone. There's something to be said for moving over. But the way that he does it, you know, is it's totally out of line.
It's like he's not trying to ride away from it either. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't care if
he risked it, all of it. Yeah,
all of it.
He
Yeah.
risked everything on this stuff that he does.
But
Yeah.
I had a debate on this subject really, and from what I'm seeing, you can't debate it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
No, I heard
There's
Ricky
nothing-
and Ricky
and
and RV kind of talking about it. And like Ricky's perspective is kind of like exactly how I think and how I would think most people think. And I think RV kind of also thinks it, but he also is kind of like, oh, well, you got the wheel. And I'm just like, I've never seen like a good rider get like, whether it's you or James or Ricky or even like Jason Lawrence from the very outside got the start at San Diego and won the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Like when guys do get that jump and get a good start from the outside, it's not like you're cutting and cleaning everyone out and yourself. They actually get the start and it goes on. The race goes on. It's not like
you go into the first turn. You can have together, like you're professionals.
You can
like,
still get the whole shot from the middle of the track.
yeah. What if there's a guy out there on the football field that every tackle he chop blocks a dude and tries to break his leg every play?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, they're not going to let you play anymore.
Yeah,
like, what are you
in this
doing?
case, they don't put them on the sidelines. They don't sit them there, so it's hard to say. Like, why are they not?
Fines for leaving your bike on the track. Fines for all these things like suspensions.
The thing that's the worst about it is that he's not gaining any of his competitors' respect.
No.
Right? People just look at him and go, "That guy's a clown. His antics are ridiculous. We got to be careful around him because he's going to take us out."
And the hole is so deep that he's dug
Everyone,
now.
yeah.
Like,
And everyone says like, "Oh man, he's the nicest guy when he's off the track." Blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah. He
what
actually
happened? He loses
is.
his marbles
Yeah.
when he puts his helmet on.
yeah.
I'm just like, what?
I've met him a few times when I worked with Shoei for a few years, so he was a Shoei guy, and I'm like, oh whoa, I got to deal with Vince Fries, he's Shoei guy, and I went and met him. I'm like, God, that guy's so nice,
dude,
but not on the track.
he was one
Everyone
of the
says
first
that.
kids with the Red Bull helmet, like amateur. I was pumped on the guy. I thought he was gonna have a great career. I was like, and then it just kind of never. It just.
I mean, you saw him riding World Supercross. He was riding great.
Yeah.
I mean, he has flashes of really good riding, but then he just, whenever he gets a chance, he makes a fool of himself. I think, really, in my mind. I mean, I always said this. I've said this many a times in a lot of interviews, pods, and all this stuff. And I used to rip on Emig pretty good because he was kind of like that. He was a little bit. His riding etiquette was a little bit suspect, right?
Yeah.
He'd chop you off on the jumps.
do stuff he didn't have to do.
Right. It's just kind of, like I said, there's this riding etiquette line that's kind of, okay, he's aggressive, he took the line, and then there's like dumb shit, right? And there's just, it seemed like he used to err on a lot of dumb shit, at least from my point of view. Of course, we were rivals, right? And I just hated to lose to that guy. So any kind of move, I always saw it obviously slanted my direction. I know that we've all grown out of that. We're, I don't mind now. It's just funny. I mean, that every great rider needs a great rival.
Yeah.
Right.
You had Emig, you had Lusk. And dude,
Emig pushed me to be better because I fucking hated losing to him. I'm like, no way, I'm not losing to this fucking chump. And that's it. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And it drove me harder.
Yeah.
And it drove him harder. I guarantee it.
Oh, absolutely.
I
yeah.
guarantee he couldn't think anything else but trying to beat me. So look, we both needed that, you know, and there's guys that Lusk has had, you know, I almost got in a fight with Lusk a couple times after the races because he made some bad moves. Yeah. I mean,
Dude, I was pissed.
on my fans and friends and everything. Yeah. It just, you know, he kind of loses his head a few times on a few things when he's a great rider. He didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, then on the other hand, there's guys that were so fun. Like Larry Ward was one of my favorite riders to race with. Like, we had such fun times. We were yelling at each other.
He was awesome.
Me and Kevin Wyndham, we had so much fun racing each other.
Yeah.
Even Carmichael. Like, when he was coming in, look, it was the changing of the guard, and there was no getting around it. It was happening. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
But we still had fun. The parts that people don't understand is that you know, the media is what made it look like we didn't like each other.
Yeah.
Like
You've known
Ricky,
him your whole life.
Ricky,
right?
I've known him since he's a little guy. He used to come out and stay with my parents, and like his mom and dad, my mom and dad were friends, and like all
Nobody
this
knows
stuff.
that. Like,
yeah, no one
nobody
really
knows
knows the back story of all that. So like when he came in and started beating me, and it was like the media was causing all that drama.
Yeah.
You know, and then when Feld, you know, at the U.S. Open, put Ricky Carmichael down in a chair with a King's hat on and all this stuff. I mean, they screwed him over,
Dude,
right?
oh, yeah.
I mean, they set him up. They set him
so
up. He
hard.
got booed for like 2 years for that.
2 years straight. Yeah.
And his team and his mom and dad, I mean, they probably weren't sure exactly how that was going to go. I mean, and neither was I, right? But that spot was reserved for me at the time, right? And fans were pissed when, you know, people try to force stuff down your throat that's you're not ready for or whatever. So, you know, this sport is a window. I realize everyone's trying to get what they can get out of it.
Yeah.
It just, you know, you got to do the best you can in that 5, 8, if you're lucky, 8-year window.
Yeah.
5-year window.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, think about other sports. Pro football players don't even last like
2 to 4.
2 to 4
whatever.
seasons,
Yeah,
maybe,
if
or
you're
something.
lucky. Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, if you can get a little something out of it, it's just, I was lucky. I had a long career, and thankfully I didn't have to deal with guys that were trying to cheap shot me all the time.
Yeah, but when Carmichael started beating you, you weren't. It's not like people have this thing in their head like you're supposed to be like miserable or something. Like you had such a great career.
Yeah.
You're still like getting first or second or third.
Yeah,
which, No, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're making money still. You're having fun. You're healthy. You're riding. It's like you're not bummed.
Yeah.
Like did you think you're gonna win till you're like 45? Like you know it's gonna happen. It happens. You watch the sport. It happens to everyone. You went ahead and extended the dominant period 4 times longer than it normally should be.
Right.
So
yeah.
you're like,
So
dude,
I was already
bonus
icing on the
time.
cake.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
so
Yeah, you were just
for you know, I was certainly not bummed. Yeah. You know, in a way, you're like, okay, I just want to win forever, right? If I can.
Yeah.
And I felt like I could, and then I just, you know, Ricky came along, and I mean, we saw that 5 years before it happened.
Yep.
Right. The way I look at it is, Ricky came into the class, and it took him 3 years to beat me.
Yeah.
It did.
3 seasons.
He was there.
He was trying.
Right. So when I came into the class, it took me 3 races to get to the top.
Yeah.
Right. So I was proud of the fact that I held Ricky off for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like you said, I got second to him, and then I got third, and then I retired. So,
Not too
look,
shabby.
there's nothing to be bummed about.
No.
That was so fun. I was healthy, great career, super fun. So yeah.
And more about A1 too is just like watching the guys on a, you know, more of a positive note of A1 is like, it was cool watching the races go down, and like it kind of sucked watching Roxon go down because I kind of was thinking he could take this thing, right? And then it was like, it was cool to see Chase in there because I wasn't sure how he was going to do on the new bike. It was cool to see Anderson back in there. That was awesome. And then Jet, dude, I mean, it just, what do you say? The kid rides great, dude.
I mean, there was a lot of unknowns, believe it or not, right? With Sexton on the new bike. You're like, okay, how's he going to do?
Yeah.
Cooper Webb really impressed me because all through the offseason, you saw him in the World Championships or whatever then, and you're like, oh, man, he's not really getting along with that bike too well.
It's not usually how he starts a season either, like up front. Like, it's
Well, I
usually
mean,
a
yeah, I just
building.
thought he would struggle more on the bike. He
No, he
looks
great.
really good.
Yeah.
And he had that same tenacity that he always has. And it's a bummer that he fell at the end of the race there because, I mean, let's be honest, Anderson was probably holding him up a little bit. He probably could have reeled in, maybe gave Jed a little bit more of a test. Which would have been neat to see, which, look, we might see that, which is cool.
There's about lap 9 or 10 where Webb made the pass before the finish line on Anderson, but didn't make it stick.
Back.
He didn't and he let Anderson, and I'm like, that would have been the
at that point, Anderson though too, like I was kind of like, Anderson wasn't dirty about it, but I'm like, dude, that's 450 main event. Anaheim won. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta fight. You gotta hold your ground. And look at like he did, and he ended up in second.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think Anderson has more in the tank. This is the first race on the all new bike. Mm-hmm. That new Cowie is bitching. The chassis really is awesome. I mean, it really rides itself. You don't have to ride very hard to hold. You don't have to hold on to it very hard, which is exciting for those guys. And I think Anderson, now that he has a race under his belt, he's going to have more in the tank. He can go, okay, I can push harder. Definitely bummer for Roxon. Sexton looked pretty good.
Yeah,
looked all right.
He's still filling it out, you can tell. But to end up on the podium with that kind of a night and kind of be like non-existent, just spotlight kind of not on you.
Yeah, didn't get great starts.
Hey, he ended up in third mentally, build from there, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think at the end of the night, it's like we all kind of knew, we kind of all suspected Jet was going to win the race, or at least I did for sure. After the heat race, it was like, oh man, maybe the other guys, maybe he's a little nervous or something. Maybe we'll get a good race out of it tonight. But in the end, I thought his race strategy was good. He had a 3-second lead. I thought it was not enough for most of the race. They were still able to see him.
Yeah.
Which I thought,
same straight
in my mind would have been like a 5-second gap would have been better, right? Pull out 2 more seconds. They can't really see you all the time. Then they wouldn't be so motivated to try to catch you.
Yeah.
In the end, it didn't matter. He had a 9-second lead. It was no big deal. But, pretty impressive. Those guys are going to have to get it in gear. Yeah, I think.
What do you think about the track? Was it easy, or it seemed like everything?
I don't know. I don't know if the track was that easy. It didn't seem like it was that difficult, right? It didn't seem like the whoops were
there was
hard.
No separator. It was smaller whoops, but 2 in a row. And then
there was only a few corners where you could have passed.
Yeah, more flat.
A lot of 90 corners.
Yeah. I liked the finish line and then the triple. I thought that was pretty cool.
Right,
you don't normally
like
see that. Like big finish line, triple. Like, I don't know, it's kind of cool.
So we have to wait for the tracks to change up a little bit. The dirt, maybe a little bit. This isn't Anderson's best soil, right? He's like real hard packed.
Well, he's won Anaheim before.
He's won Anaheim.
He won Anaheim on a Husky.
He does like it ruddy though.
Yeah.
He does like. I remember that Oakland
His style
race.
is like. I think he's going to be good. He's sitting in a really nice spot. He can build on that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about just I mean, I feel like we talked about A1 enough, kind of recapped it, but just a little bit of like our history of like.
Let's talk about your shirt. What do you got going on there?
Oh, my shirt.
Looks like you're ready to race.
Yeah. Dude, we're racing all the time, man.
Little IndyCar track shirt.
Yeah, so this shirt my grandfather gave me, and he actually passed away last night. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So we're racing day for him.
I was like, we had this thing scheduled with you today, and I'm like, this kind of hit me hard last night. He's like my, he was like my dad. He's like my rock. You know what I mean? I always looked up to this guy, and he was 91 years old. Legend, man. He was late 50s, early 60s, road race, won a lot, won Riverside Raceway Times Grand Prix in 1960 in a birdcage Maserati. Is kind of cool. And then one of his coolest stories is that him and Carroll Shelby worked on the Cobra together.
Oh, wow.
And Carroll Shelby wanted the fastest guy at the time to race the car in its first race because he wanted to win, right?
Yeah.
So he hired my grandpa to race it. So my grandpa was the first man to race the Cobra, which is legendary.
The car was developed by Shelby and then your grandpa probably, and then
I'm sure he had
the same car that they showed the movie Ford versus Ferrari, right? So like a lot of the development coming up to that was done by probably your grandpa.
Yeah. It was they were definitely working together with it. My grandpa was just my great grandpa, his dad like owned a machine shop, and he was always just around that type of lifestyle. So I'm sure they worked together on that. The Ford versus Ferrari is more of a Hollywood style movie.
Of course. It's like a reenactment of some of that
Yeah. The actual, the Cobra story and like Carroll Shelby's story is actually, you can look it up on YouTube, but it's called American Shelby. And it's a pretty cool story, man. Carroll Shelby is just badass. And anyways, my grandfather's in that, documentary, and they interview him and they kind of talk about that first race and stuff. And he's just in there, and he's always got
what a
funny.
What a cool
stuff.
time to live.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's
dude,
a
these
rad-
guys were
pioneers.
These guys were loading the cars on trailers and hopping in trucks and driving to Daytona cross country. They weren't flying and getting there in semi trucks. They were driving to Pikes Peak. They were driving, you know what I mean?
I mean,
So
the
it was-
airplanes back then.
Actually,
I'm
my
not sure you
grandpa.
wanna fly those
No,
much
no.
anyway.
Yeah.
Prop planes and stuff. But well, sorry
Yeah.
to hear that, dude.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm like, I had this shirt. I'm like, dude, I'm wearing this shirt on the podcast. So here we are.
That's really
What
cool.
was it?
Yeah.
Bill Krause.
Old
Yeah.
Marble.
This
Marble
one doesn't have the
racing
last
team.
name, but there's one over there with the last name on it. But it was all dirty because
Patrick
that was the one he
Racing.
rocked all the time. Yeah, this was like the Marlboro Penske, like the whole
Yeah, those are
IndyCar
the colors
team.
right there.
You
That's
remember,
the
like,
team, dude.
Emerson Fittipaldi and all
Yeah.
that back in the day. Like
Oh,
that
Mears.
was
500.
Yeah, Mears.
Rick Mears and like Alan Sir Jr. and Alan Sir and all those guys. Like that was the era of like him retired, but in the mix.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
owned a car dealership at the time, Honda car dealership. And
That's so cool.
so anyways, cool story. But yeah, but talking about just our history too, of just how long I've known you. I actually grew up down the street from your parents' house off the 215 in Menifee, you know?
Yep.
I could ride my little 80 over to your house. I had a 96 CR80. I was stoked on this thing. I mean, it was like
That's when I had the track at my mom and dad's.
it was
off
in the
15,
backyard.
right?
Yeah, you had the
Off the
outdoor
215.
track.
The outdoor track, dude.
Yeah.
That thing was sweet.
And then we were there one time watching you. It was like right when you switched to the Suzuki, and we're watching, and I'm like just fan, you know. I really hadn't like even met you or anything at this time, but my mom knew your mom and dad because we would get our cars worked on at your dad's shop.
Yeah.
So my mom's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go ask Jeremy if he's got a 125 for sale," because I'm like, I was looking for a 125 at the time, and I'm like thinking, dude, he does not just have a 125 for sale. Like, Mom, don't go do that.
Well, it
That's
was
so
like what,
embarrassing.
90? Was
So
it like
embarrassing.
94 or
This
something?
was 97 because you
97.
just got on the Suzuki.
Oh, okay. So I was full-time 250 guy.
I
But I must
remember-
have had an older Honda.
Yeah, I remember DeCoster was there and stuff, and she comes back and she's like, he has one for sale. I'm like, what?
That was the end of the year in 97.
That was
Or
that was
96.
the end of the year in 96.
Yeah, because we,
Yeah.
you know, if you remember right, I only got on that Suzuki like 3 weeks before the series
Yeah.
started.
I'm just going to jump on this thing
So
real quick.
Roger and like Scott Bennett and some guys, like show guys, and like,
Scott Bennett was back then. He was there.
yeah.
Wow. He
Yeah,
did my suspension for a long time. It was so
Scott
good
and I
always.
were. You remember I had my Supercross track there, then I had the outdoor track, and then there was that other track in the back by Brent, this kid Brent's
up on
house.
the hill.
Yeah,
That track
up in
was
the back.
sick. Yeah.
Me and Bennett used to go there and test. Like
Yeah.
Bennett was a young guy coming in the sport, right? And
Yeah.
we would go there and test, and like Wyatt was my mechanic, right, back then, and like I mean,
Wyatt
Wyatt Seals, yeah.
was my mechanic. Skip had retired.
Yep.
And Wyatt was wrapped up in his girlfriend, and he's always taking these trips or whatever.
A
you know?
mechanic in quotes is never good, dude.
Yeah, it's a quote mechanic. And anyway, I just laugh at that because he was a good friend of mine, and Skip's buddy too, and a good friend of the sport for sure.
Nice.
But at this time, he was pretty distracted. So we were at that track back there testing outdoors, and I was riding and pulling the shocks, and Scott was changing them, putting them back on. It was just me and Bennett.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that. I didn't know Scott Bennett was that far back.
yeah.
Because I met Scott Bennett when I was roommates with Sean Hamlin, and he was factory
Years later.
Suzuki, and it
Yeah,
was
of
like,
course.
and I didn't know that he went that far back.
Yeah, 97.
That's
I think it was
cool.
probably Scott's first year.
There's a lot of lifers in this
But yeah,
industry, dude.
the 125 was a 95 CR 125,
Yeah.
and it was just bone stock. And you gave
So
me,
it must have been a bike that I had gotten from Honda.
yeah,
Well, I mean, didn't get ridden much because
Didn't
I
get
never
ridden much.
really
And it was in the big barn?
in the barn.
in the
but,
big barn, but it had a sick pro circuit pipe on it,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
sick one and a sick silencer.
And that bike, standard engine with a pipe on it was insane.
Dude, the
fast.
thing was
Insanely
awesome.
fast.
Yeah, and you gave me some graphics when I bought it, but they were like Honda of Troy graphics for some reason. I don't know how you
funny.
had those, but I was like, they're sick, dude.
Yeah,
McGrath
yeah.
gave me these
Had the
graphics.
dragon on them.
Yep, I'm like,
You gave me a Yamaha Troy helmet too. I don't know where you got this Troy stuff
Well,
from.
remember in '97 when I was riding
Oh,
Suzuki's,
Suzuki
I was
of
Suzuki
Troy.
oh,
of
and then you were
Troy.
Suzuki of Troy, so maybe that's where
That's
it's coming
where the
from.
connection
Yeah.
came in. I had
Who is Troy?
Honda, Troy. Who is Troy?
Yeah.
So it was Troy is a town
Oh, okay.
called Troy, Ohio.
Ohio,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the Troy.
Okay.
And it was a guy named Phil Alderton who passed away.
He was with Yamaha, not Star, but before it was Star.
Yamaha Troy.
Yamaha Troy.
He owned the team.
There it is.
It
It's all
was his
coming
team.
together.
So all this stuff was him.
Okay. Got it.
And unfortunately, he passed away some years later. But he was a big instrumental in the sport and really supported a lot of us and did me a huge favor when I went to Suzuki and we ran stuff. Because I was like a privateer.
Yeah.
Because Larocco and Albertine were the factory riders.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
And Suzuki was generous enough to make room for me at that time. And that was, I was sort of like support rider. So Phil Alderton kicked into the program, and he was the one from Suzuki of Troy. So they were a big motorcycle shop and sold Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha.
Hey, that's where they used to run the national in Ohio. At Troy? Am I wrong or
No.
Troy, Ohio.
that was where?
Yeah,
and it was like a
that was
flat track with jumps. It was
In the cornfields.
They just don't do it anymore.
Hot. It was the most hot, humid I've ever been in my life. Is at that track.
Yeah, I went to it one time. I think it might have been the last year that they
Freaking
ran
hot.
it. Yeah,
In the middle of summer in Ohio.
yeah, it was brutal.
Humid like crazy. So, but yeah, that was a good old days. So you got the 95.
So, yeah, I had-
125. I was already.
Yep.
That was a couple-year-old bike, but still had no church miles on it. Nothing.
Oh, dude, I had a blast on that thing. I won the hot summer nights at Paris Raceway novice 125 class. I was like, yeah.
Nice.
But had a good time, yeah. And then years and years later, I mean, well, there's a lot that happened in between then. But
Well, listen, you got my bike, but we still didn't like hang or nothing at that time.
No.
You were younger, a lot younger. I was in the middle of my
Yeah,
racing, and it wasn't until later when we really sort of remet.
through, I ended up working I was the first moto team manager at Monster.
Right.
So that's how we kind of started hanging a little bit more. And we
Right.
kind
You
of
worked for Scott.
worked with Scott. Yeah. And Scott was awesome, dude.
Yeah,
He plugged me in,
You
and it
guys
was a
had
good
the
gig.
whole team over there. It was awesome.
For 6 years, man, we just ran that program, and we went from sneaking drinks into the pits because we weren't allowed to have Monster at the races because it was most of these were like Red Bull accounts, most of these stadiums and stuff,
Right.
right?
Oh,
So
that's
like
right.
we
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
have. So I was sneaking drinks in my backpack into the pits, into the suites, doing certain things like that. And then it was like the next year it was like we were with Mitch Payton's team, and then we had our own thing with Hamlin, and then the next year after that it was like we had Carmichael, and then the next year after that we had all of factory Kawasaki, which James had to ditch the Red Bull helmet, and then he was just running the Monster bike. But that was a great year for him because he won Supercross, won every moto outdoors, and like we're a part of that. But I don't know if James was that happy about that. He had nothing to do with that, James, by the
I'll
way.
tell you what James isn't happy about is, when Monster offered him a deal and he didn't take the deal.
He offered him a big deal.
big deal, a lot of stock. too.
Yeah.
And that stock today would be. You seen those things where if you had like $100,000 or $10,000 in Monster back in the day, it equals this amount of money.
Yep.
Well, I think his stuff would have been like something like 30 million.
Yeah, I
So
don't know.
that's
what
kind
was
of
that.
that's look, it's always fun to look back and go, oh man, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but
Yeah.
that was
And then
all the folklore of all those old stories is pretty funny.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And now Monster's title,
Awesome.
got
Yeah.
all the best guys, and it's cool.
And then through all that, we also got you. You were a Red Bull guy. So then we eventually got you on board. Scott did all
listen, I was a Hanson's Energy guy at first.
that before the Red Bull.
When I was Team Chaparral Yamaha, I was Hanson's Energy.
Oh,
Mark
okay.
Hall used to
Gotcha.
deliver drinks,
Yeah.
like Hanson's energy drinks to our rig, right?
You had
we
the little-
Yeah, I
little-
remember
On the
that.
fort guards.
Yeah, it's on my.
Yeah.
Actually,
The little green Hansen
little
can.
green can.
Yeah.
right. And so then it was like Hanson's, and there was no real Monster at that time. Then I got a Red Bull deal for a little while with Hayes Wheeless,
Mm-hmm.
and then when Scott started,
Yeah.
you guys started doing that stuff with Crown AMG, and he had his little team of guys and started building up Monster. That's when I came back to Monster. So it just, at first, it didn't make sense because there really wasn't the Monster thing happening yet. It was still Hanson's. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've been Monster ever since. So it's like since 2005 or something.
Yeah.
Or 6.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's our story, and then your story. I've known you since you were a baby.
Yeah, I've always wanted to ask you since my
since you were riding PW
my
50s.
My freaking hero used to come over to the house for dinner on Wednesday night casually, and I'm just hiding in the kitchen like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I remember, but how did you and my dad meet? When? Where? How did I don't know the story of how you guys met. I know that you lived down the street in Marietta.
Yeah.
You were new to town. Maybe didn't know how to get to all the tracks or something. Needed to follow someone.
Well, not really, because I'm from Menifee.
Yeah.
So I knew where all the tracks were.
I don't know,
Your dad's newer to town than me.
Yeah.
I was a kid, but I lived there since 1975.
Yeah.
So
And
you guys moved to town from Westminster or wherever you were at.
You
were in Lakewood.
Lakewood in 1990.
Right.
The end of 89.
Yeah.
90.
So me and your dad met because I think he cruised by my mom and dad's house one day when I was riding.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Or it's either that because your dad used to work for ARB and
Yeah.
he's a construction dude every day and he's getting up early and busting his ass and doing all that. But remember, he had access to some tractors.
Oh, yeah.
So we would get a backhoe and stuff from your dad, and he'd bring it over, and we'd be digging whoops and stuff, you know? Because, I had a tractor. The first thing, when I first started making money, some money. The first thing I ever spent my money on, was a tractor. I bought a bulldozer for like $12,000 or something.
Yeah.
An old Cat. It was cool, man. I was able to build all my own tracks and do all that stuff. So I've been driving tractor for a long time. But when your dad had an ARB backhoe or something available, he would cruise by and we would dig some new sections.
Oh, nice.
And so obviously I lived 2 blocks from you.
Yeah, when you lived
when I lived in Marietta off West Haven
Vista
there.
Verde or something.
I remember
I lived
that
off
house.
West Haven. You lived across.
We were down off Los Alamos.
Yeah.
Cal Oaks,
Yeah,
right there.
exactly,
Yeah. We were
yeah.
literally down the street.
That house, I think I saw a video the other day on Instagram
Yeah,
of
me
you
riding
on
my
the
bicycle
BMX
around.
Yeah,
bike,
doing-
dude. That was legit.
Trying to do some.
And then your
Room-
roommates there
yeah.
were Beaker.
Beaker didn't live with us.
Oh, but he was.
He was around all the
then
time.
was it Lou
And Lou
always?
was my roommate
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah.
So
And then Lou was my roommate. Lou was from Temecula,
yeah,
and I met him out riding.
yeah,
I think maybe he stopped by my mom and dad's
yeah.
track one time too. That's how we met.
Yeah, I just remember you guys were buddies, and then I was super into moto.
Well, your dad was
BMX,
riding too.
and my dad would still go race Vet Pro
so
or whatever.
Yeah, we'd go race Paris,
yeah,
and he'd go and we'd go, and we just started broing out.
became
That's
moto
how that
buddies.
all kind of happened.
Yeah.
And
dude, and then you guys, you and Lou, would freaking ride your BMX bikes down to my neighborhood.
yeah, and there's
Hey
those
Jeff,
jumps.
let's go to the jumps.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'd get on the bike, we'd go to the jumps, and I remember, I'll never forget this lifelong memory. Lou, from my house all the way up the hill, out of the block to the jumps, just sit down wheelie the whole time on his BMX bike.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, is that the best bicycle rider in the world? Who is this guy? You know what I mean?
He's a wheelie man.
The wheelie king.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
you guys just stoked me out constantly, and then my friends would never believe that I knew Jeremy McGrath, or that, oh yeah, he was at your house last night. I'm dude, why would I lie?
You're he's hanging out with my dad.
And then and then a few times you would drive over the old the big F350 or whatever after you just
the gold one.
you
250.
case some jumps at Bohm. I don't even know what all the years go together, but calling my friends, dude, he's here.
Yeah.
Or going to their house real quick, dude, he's here. And then they'd ride their bikes down the street. They'd come around the corner and see you in my driveway, and they're like, what?
Well,
and I'm
the funny,
dude, I
yeah,
just
the
told
funny
you.
thing is your house, your house, when you guys weren't there, sometimes before I ever had a jacuzzi and a pool and stuff over there, I used to go to your jacuzzi.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
Ooh,
used to bring some
jacuzzi's
girls
got
over there.
pull.
dude.
Yeah.
Hey, that was my.
Your dad was like, "Hey, MC, the gate's open.
Yee.
Jacuzzi time."
Jeff,
Like,
That's
all
a
right.
hey. That's a great jacuzzi.
Yeah, it is.
It was
That
great for me
jacuzzi could
too,
talk.
dude.
Hey.
Dude, I'm glad it can't.
and Jeff, what about that story you were talking to me about racing Jeremy's bike? What'd you do?
Yeah, I was like, Kyle, so how many like I'm like, you think Tomac, like Roxon, like Barsha, like how many like 15, 16-year-old kids do you think that these guys are sending to World Mini with their race bike? Because you sent me to freaking World Mini with your 250 with the suspension,
All the stuff
dude.
on it.
I weeded that thing all over Las Vegas.
Well,
dude.
that was when the World Mini Track was over in Henderson still or whatever, or was it at the Speedway?
It was the wind pit in the Speedway.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean
Bro.
that's the other really cool thing about the '90s
yeah,
is like when I was factory Honda, I had so much stuff, like overabundance of stuff.
yeah.
Like team bikes,
Like a CR125?
yeah. Like I had just stuff, like a bunch of. I'm like, please go ride this because I can't ride all this stuff at once. You know what I mean? Which was every kid's dream, right? Like when you're young and you're like, okay, I'm Team Honda now. You don't think like, okay, yeah. I mean, nowadays you get a practice bike and you get a race bike, or whatever. But back then it was like I had a couple team bikes. I had like 5 stock bikes. I had just stuff piled up all over. So that was like your dad used to ride with some of my bikes too.
400, 426.
Yeah, like I used to have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But I just we were cracking up because it's like, dude, like I showed up at World Mini in the 250 novice class and raced Jeremy McGrath's bike, and I didn't even win. I got close a few times, but that thing was gnarly. Like, it was just
well,
like,
in the '90s, those bikes too, with not too much work, they were freaking sweet.
Well, this wasn't the 90s because this
wasn't
was
the
on
dude,
Yamaha.
This was 2000.
Oh,
and
Yamaha! You
Yeah.
chose my Yamaha,
I raced your
right?
when I
You
was
riding Yamaha 125.
when I was
right.
fat, like in my best part of my racing, like I battled Jeff Alessi for the win in one of the classes,
Yeah.
but I'd go like 1-14-6, or you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
everywhere, and I just, dude, I got thrown off that. Dude, I got thrown.
Yamaha 250s were so good,
Dude,
They were awesome.
I had one.
They were handled.
I
good.
jumped the triple. The first lap in the main, landed in the whoop section, basically. Wide open. It handled it. But, like, dude, just, like, that doesn't happen anymore. No one's taking Sexton's bike to Mammoth.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
It's not
that
happening.
doesn't happen.
Yeah, I raced it in Mammoth, too, by the way.
Yeah.
250.
No, I don't know. I think it's different out there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even the riders just don't. I'm not sure they have that. I'm not sure they have that much fun.
But, dude,
anymore,
you would
know what
go.
I mean?
It's a little different.
You would go meet us at Carlsbad. Me, Philip Hodges, my dad, my uncle. Axel's like that big. I have pictures.
Yeah, he's this big and you're this big.
Yeah, and I'm that big. And like,
you had
dude,
your PW
and
before you were riding your 125.
but you would go race a local race at REM or something with all of us.
Yeah.
The king of friggin' Supercross.
Yeah,
just with all his like buddies that are just riding and stuff. You
Random
just show up,
riders,
and
all
you'd
my
go
friends.
take on like Amber Radio or someone, give them the best day of their life.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
let
yeah.
them battle
He was
you.
fast there.
Yeah, dude.
He was
That
fast.
sucker was
And
fast.
it was just blew my mind because like that's so real. Like these guys don't.
yeah,
they
You know
don't
who
like
was
that
fast
anymore.
at Paris Raceway? It was Don Upton.
He was.
Oh,
He was
dude.
pretty quick.
Don
He was
Upton,
a-
dude. He
he
was
was pretty
fast
quick.
at Paris.
Yeah.
That could be a whole podcast. Dude. Don Upton.
Yeah.
Don Upton's a pretty cool dude.
I was already kind of in the pro series and stuff by the time he was
Doing that thing.
making a name for himself
Yeah.
in Paris.
I remember he
I
lived
know
there.
he's from Sun City, so.
But he lived he had a fifth wheel there for a while. He just lived
Yeah.
there, and he just was the guy at Paris.
So yeah, I know all this. Like we're talking about, like you and Jeff, and like the history with his dad, and like obviously like your parents' house. So you grew up in Menifee and Murrieta
Yeah.
and all that. And I started kind of going to Canyon Lake, hanging out at this time too. It's actually where I met my wife.
What
But
year was that?
Then you moved. So you ended up moving to Canyon Lake, and that was
Yeah,
that was
right.
awesome.
So I bought my first house which was the one in Murrieta.
Yep.
It was 93, I think.
Yeah.
92 or 93. I was like
93,
something
I
like that. My first year on a factory, like big class, 250 class. And then 94, I lived Murrieta, 93, 94, and then that's when I started looking at Canyon Lake because I was really into, like, I was starting to get really into wakeboarding.
Wakeboarding. Yeah.
So
Nice.
that was kind of the thing. I rode for Fox at the time. They had all the team riders, and we'd go to Florida for a couple weeks every year when we were down there for Gainesville and Daytona, and we get to ride with, these pro wakeboard guys, Chris Bischoff and Colby
Sean Murray?
Nikosic. Sean Murray's a little bit younger.
Scott
at the time.
Byerly?
Byerly.
Byerly.
We
Byerly's
didn't ride with Byerly, but we really looked up to Byerly.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Canyon Lake was sort of like it was kind of like the next, like, oh, okay, maybe that's the next like status place.
It was at the time. I feel
It
like
was,
it
but
was.
here's the thing: when I moved into Canyon Lake, like I got a lot of shit for that.
Yeah.
Not only it wasn't because of my cool lake house, it was because they don't allow motorcycles in Canyon Lake.
Right.
Yeah,
And
you
I'm a
can't
motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
Can't even
They're
ride
like,
it
what the
down
hell are you
street.
doing moving into Canyon Lake? They don't even like motorcycles. I'm like, well, I'm not here to ride my dirt bike. I'm here to, ride behind my boat.
Yeah.
And anyways, all the legendary parties and the stories that came out of Canyon Lake, and I mean, half the things that everyone talks about, I wasn't even there because Lou was really good at throwing parties.
Lou was
Right?
the man.
And I was on this series, and I was out of town all the time. So, I mean, look, I was there for a fair amount of parties. We had a lot of fun. In fact, when I broke my wrist in 98 after winning the Supercross title and then racing Glen Helen, Sacramento, and then Mount Morris, I really had to stop and get surgery on my wrist, right? I broke my navicular. I raced the last 6 Supercrosses in 98 with a broken wrist. And you guys know the one crash where I cased it, landed, the bars broke off my bike. I'm standing in the corner, and Larry Ward comes around and hits me, and I fall down. So I broke my wrist on that little crash. I just framed that like backward ski jump.
The Renthals did not break. You said
No,
that.
the bars didn't break.
No,
The
but
bar
that's what you
mounts
said.
Oh, in
you
the
were
interview.
halfway knocked out, and you said
Yeah.
the Renthals did not. Like you did them a solid, dude.
Yeah.
You're like the Renthals didn't break.
I'm
You're
like
still holding them in your
cross-eyed.
freaking hands, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, that year, that summer was one of the all-time summers because, like, I was off all summer, right? So that was really fun.
New in Canyon Lake.
Yeah,
and like,
Canyon
let's
Lake
do
was
this.
just kind of killing it. It was super fun. And so I ended up living in Canyon Lake, 5, 6, 7 or something like that, 8 maybe, 98.
Yeah.
And then, because like 98, I met my wife, Kim.
How did you guys meet?
We met through Victor Sheldon. Actually, Victor Sheldon's wife, Piper, and my wife, Kim, were best friends.
Oh,
And Victor was dating Piper, and it was more like a blind date thing.
awesome.
And she kept saying no for a long time, and then
Really?
finally went out with me. We went on a double date, and then we've just been together ever since. It's pretty crazy.
Good thing she said yes.
She's from
Good thing
Colorado.
Good thing she said rest.
She's from Colorado.
Yeah, she's
right?
from Colorado. She was going to San Diego State at the time,
Okay.
and
Dang, you guys were kids.
well, I mean, I was 20. Let's see, it was 98. I was 27.
Oh, okay.
She was like 23.
23, 24-ish.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I was pretty stoked.
Yeah.
About that.
She know anything about dirt bikes?
Not really.
Is that why it was easy for her to be like, nah, I'm good? You kind of had to
Yeah,
fresh-
I mean, you know how it is. Like blind dates are kind of like,
But isn't
people
that
are like, she's a super hot chick, and she's like, I'm not gonna
Super
go with
hot.
this guy. He's an idiot.
I bet you thought that was pretty cool because her not being like knowing, like, the chicks knew who you were. Is
right.
Oh.
It took me a while to get them to get it set up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what you needed.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's for a lot of years this is low hanging fruit. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
So
Low-hanging
it's just like, when you meet someone that with some substance, it's a lot nicer.
Like Langston said, a lot of those girls are just out for the guys that are winning, and who are you to deprive them?
That was his word. He says, "Who am I to deprive them?"
All right.
Yeah.
As in low hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how we met. And then in 98, I basically moved from, Canyon Lake was a lot of,
There's a lot of moving parts around
partying
there,
going
yeah.
on there. And I was trying to still be a racer, and I was, it's easily distracted place. Then there was Deegan and his whole crew was all in there. And it was just sort of not like a great environment at the time for, first of all, trying to be like a couple, like having a girlfriend, and then also just trying to be a racer, right? So I moved back out of Canyon Lake back to my Marietta house, and then in 99 I moved down to Encinitas, and the thought process behind moving to Encinitas was at the time I was riding for No Fear. Jeff Sirwall and I were best buddies, and I owned half that No Fear MX line with him. Right, we had a license agreement with No Fear, which is Mark and Brian and people I know and rode for too. But it didn't work out. Obviously, that the history of that whole relationship didn't really work out. I thought when I was going to be retiring from dirt bikes, I'd be in Vista working at No Fear MX, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of was. I was just kind of setting the plan ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't racing Supercross. I wasn't racing motocross. I was racing Supercross only. So I didn't feel like I needed to be in Marietta all year long. Right when it's 110 degrees, I could be down closer to the beach.
Good call.
And so that's just kind of how that all worked out. Hindsight now, you looking back, No Fear MX never really worked out. I ended up leaving there, started riding for Parts Unlimited and Thor for a long time, which was a great relationship. I love those people. And Jeff Fox and Hilton Beatty and the whole crew at Thor were just amazing. And so basically I'm in Encinitas, and
we were talking,
glad.
me and Kyle were talking about No Fear earlier today. And we're like, they had MC, Wyndham, Pastrana, Tortelli. They just like
power team.
And
Power
Malcolm
team.
is the guy.
And
Like, it was
being the
cool.
guy.
It was,
And,
and it's No Fear.
and
Like, it was cool.
Every kid wanted it. All of a sudden, there's a No Fear store in the mall. It's just blowing up. How's it ever going to fail? And then it's gone. We're just
gone.
like, what the hell happened? And like, I saw this thing the other day on One Industries.
Oh,
It's coming back.
They're
Is it
back.
coming back?
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
They're
but
coming
they
back.
like were everything, and then they're gone. It's
Yep,
like,
they're
where?
coming back. There was a reason One Industries had to.
But I never
Parade.
realized how much.
Huh?
They had to leave.
there was a reason One
Dude,
Industries
they
had
were
to
I
the-
don't know the history behind
They
it.
were the graphics team for every team.
Right. Well, that was
Gear, helmet. It just boom,
didn't
boom,
someone
boom.
like the La Jolla group or someone come along and buy that brand, One Industry, and then
I'm not really sure what happened, but
I don't really know the history of it either, but it was weird how it was like
I know-
everything and then it was nothing.
Yeah,
I know, I know a little bit of stuff. That I'll tell you about it maybe.
And No
another
Fear was
time.
the same way, right? No Fear, we had a power team going on,
Power.
winning races. Travis Pastrana, myself, Wyndham, Tortelli. We had a badass team,
Dude.
like power team.
Power team.
And then and the product was great.
Yeah.
Right? Product was good. So at this point, I was like, when you're thinking about that, you're like, oh, it's going to last forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and
it's
then-
just gonna keep going up. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were strong for a lot of years, and then, for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. Sirwall and I were best buds, and
Yeah.
it just business-wise, it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
I was the owner of the team, invested a lot of money into that brand. It became something pretty big.
Yeah.
And then he felt like it was like I was wearing two different hats, right? I was owner and I was a rider.
Yeah.
I was winning races. Winning races was my job.
Yeah.
I had to make money winning races because there's going to be a 10-year window. I got to make as much money as I can to see if I can, there's a long life after this.
Yeah.
And then that happened. What happened there was for whatever reason, he decided that because I was an owner, I didn't need a rider salary. And I was like, what?
What?
You're like,
What?
I'm doing two jobs here.
Yeah, I can't. That didn't really work out.
Yeah.
That doesn't pencil for me. So that's kind of where the beginning of the end happened. And then that's when I said, okay, well, I'll go out and get me a gear deal.
That will
And-
pay me.
Right. And I'll be owner over here.
Yeah,
and,
that would make sense.
That
right?
was-
and that's what I did. And then that's kind of the,
It sounds funny to say, like,
yeah.
me as a kid, you switching from No Fear to that was hard for me. It was
Devastating.
shocking, dude. Yeah, like I was like I got over it, and like you hooked me up with Thor and all that, and I started
Well, at
loving
the
that
end- at the
stuff.
end-
But
at
I was
the end of
just
the
like,
day-
dude, I was so pumped. I thought the No Fear thing was just it was you.
Yeah, I know.
And it was
right. And I felt the same way.
done.
And it was a shame that it happened that way.
Yeah,
It
but
was a shame.
the
But
Thor thing seemed to work out pretty nice.
yeah, I
Parts
mean, look,
Unlimited.
that's a great group of people, and Parts Unlimited is a big company, really awesome, and just have nothing but great things to say about them. That was
How long were you with them?
Gosh, 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
At
Damn,
least
that's
20.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
at least
great.
20 years. Yeah.
So a little bit more about like just like touching back on the Canyon Lake thing and like that era of like partying and having a good time. I want to touch on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just even like watching Steel Roots, just awesome video. You can see the parties, see the good times, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, it's awesome. And jumping out of a helicopter into the lake to get on your badass boat with your buddies and the chicks, and like as a kid, I'm just like, that's just badass.
Whose
who does that?
idea
How
was
does
that?
that happen? And
That was
like,
my idea.
All right, that got us pretty pumped when we were like,
Yeah.
whatever age.
That's
we
at
were.
the time.
I mean, I can
like-
imagine being you guys looking at that going, whoa.
Well, I was hitting pause like, got it.
Yeah.
we
Seeing
go.
all the chicks on the back with the G-strings.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, that was quite a scene. You know, those videos are made for making it look bigger than it is. You know what I mean? It's just, that was my boat, so that was cool.
and that was you jumping out of the
That
heli.
was me jumping out of the heli.
That was you
And it was-
endoing at Akatia Wells.
That was me riding my bike in the water to get to my boat. So there was a lot of, you know, I did all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, we were just growing up,
Dude,
living like we just did it because we could, right?
But a
It's-
different era because we would wait like a half a year or a year to get that one 40-minute video. We couldn't just go on our phones and be like,
Didn't
like,
Lou
we were just-
make
you
that
can
video?
watch all those videos right in a row right now
Instantly,
on
yeah.
YouTube. Instantly.
Yeah. Didn't
yeah,
Lou
yeah,
do that?
we had a company called
Clutch Film?
Clutch Films.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We made Steel Roots 1, 2, 3. He went on and did Moto VMX Video Moto MX or something.
MXVM.
MXVM, that's what it was.
It's like the 411 for skateboarding.
Yeah.
but dirt bikes.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was like a video
Which was
subscription
cool.
type thing. It was very
It was
cool.
very ahead of its time.
So yeah, Lou was making all those videos.
And he
We
had
did-
the little studio in Canyon Lake
Yep.
over by Pepe's, right?
Yep.
Because I remember he'd have me bring over CDs of mine. Jeff, what do you listen to? And use them on your video, and just
Yeah,
use the
yeah,
songs
yeah,
on your
yeah.
videos
Just
off my
rip 'em.
CDs. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, it was
That's
just a
awesome.
different
I
time.
remember sitting with Lou, and he had a little office in Canyon Lake, like in the back
Yeah,
there.
that's
I
what he's talking
remember.
about.
Pepe's,
Yeah, I
Right
went
there.
in, and there was like tapes everywhere, and like that was pretty
Edit
cool.
Bay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, you know, it's funny. I was listening on Spotify. You can go pull up any old moto video right now. You can pull up any moto video, and it has the whole playlist.
Oh wow.
So like I've been listening to old Steel Roots lately, and it's got all the cool songs.
Yeah.
And it's got like, you know, we had like Linkin Park before it was Linkin Park.
Yeah.
We had like Social D back then. We had Crystal Method on there.
Well, that's
we
another
had, like
thing.
Marilyn Manson. We had some really cool music.
We hear these songs at like we're
Timestamp.
We're in our mid 30s, mid 40s, maybe a little older, whatever.
Yeah.
And like we hear these songs, and you instantly think of some like the scene
Takes you
on
back.
the
A
dirt
scene,
bike,
yeah.
And you're like, whoa, like it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that. I think the same thing. So
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Sweet.
Dude, so yeah, I wanted to chat a little bit about this thing too. This shoot here. Dude, you obviously remember when we did this.
Yeah. So this is a shoot from our ranch that we have
Still
out
got that.
in Pine Valley. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
post-
cool. That's a pretty cool shot. We did a shoot. We did a shoot with Cairoli and Wyndham maybe,
Yeah, so
and we had some big freestyle jumps set up.
yeah, so after I was at Monster,
yeah,
I
there
was
we
at
go.
Spy for years, and so I got to work with you. Yeah, there it is. Got to work with you really
Yeah.
closely at Spy too, which made us a little more closer buddies. But yeah,
Yeah.
we put this together. We just recently had signed with Cairoli, right?
Yeah, right.
And I thought it was awesome. And he, you know, you are his childhood hero, right? So I'm like, hey, why don't you come out here and let's set up a day, and you and Wyndham and Jeremy can throw down. And so yeah,
Wyndham is so awesome.
it's badass.
And is that
how sick was Wyndham that day?
Dude can ride. Yeah.
where you guys did
He's
that?
awesome.
Is that Axel's compound now? Is that the same area? Or-
Axel went and rebuilt what I had going on and made it much bigger, obviously.
But you kind
Yeah.
of started building
And
there.
that was kind of where he shot one of his videos when he had that quarter
The
pipe
first
and
one.
stuff out there.
Yeah.
Sleigh ground or whatever they.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
call
a
it.
good one.
And
That's a good one.
but no, now he has his own property. So
Oh.
he has his own property. He has his own property. But yeah, you know, I have a funny story about that. That shoot, Cairoli we had there was a big ramp jump there.
Yeah, he's probably not done a lot
And
of
he,
that.
he went off the jump
Oh, dude, that
and
was
freaking
awesome.
cased it. Like just basically stopped.
Stopped. And this was like he's like what, probably 7-time world champ at this time.
Yeah, I mean,
or
he's
something.
right. He won his world championship
And
that
he's
year.
like-
He's like,
The season's coming up, so he's like getting ready.
Yeah.
And he does that, dude, and he's just thinking to himself, yeah.
and at the and remember when he did that?
There he is.
Yeah, when he stalled it, when he landed on that jump and just stuck there, that was it. He didn't hit one more jump the rest of the day.
Oh, I thought this was sick.
Yeah, that's
On
a
the
good one.
3-wheeler, dude.
Oh yeah,
I
that's Menenga's, Randy's 3-wheeler.
Do you
Yeah,
remember?
Menenga built this. Menenga built all
He has
that,
two
you
of
know?
them. There's
Yeah.
one in my house right now. I got to give it back to him, but
Yeah.
it's old school.
Do you remember when you first decided you're going to do X Games and you were going to do the step up and you called me and you said, "Hey, I need someone to come over here and hold this pole."
Oh, at my mom and dad's
At
house.
your mom and dad's. I said, "I'll be right over."
Yeah.
And so
This pole.
and so I drive my little Toyota down. I park. I'm like looking. I'm like, I see this wall made out of dirt, and I'm all, what the hell's this dude doing?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And there's a big ass pole. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold that pole. And
I'm
so,
gonna hold
like,
that pole.
You're like kind of warming up already. You haven't even really hit it yet or anything. And you have this pole at this certain height. You think, I got to hit this freaking. You made the jump at your parent. It was probably a little too big.
It might have been too big, but what
big.
we did is we carved out of that mountain,
Yeah, it
like
just
a
a
lip, which we thought was like kind of what
how it was gonna be.
how it was gonna be at X Games.
Dude, but I'll never forget this because you're like, all right, I'm going to go for it. And I'm like up on the side of the thing holding the pole up. And you just do your normal, like, oh, whatever. And just commit and go straight over my head. Your whole entire bike goes completely flat. The freaking pole I'm holding is going up under your helmet.
Oh,
Yeah. Like, this is going to be real
Could-
messed up.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you're just flat, like, bike's flat. You take your hand off, take the pole, and like throw it like.
Oh,
away
I
from
grab
you.
it, like-
Yeah, and throw it, and just put your hand back on, and just take your bike from completely out of control, flat, and just go, yeah, and just land, and you're all like, oh, that was pretty
close one.
cool. Yeah, that was a close one. Something so all casual. I'm like, you just almost put your head on
Gored
a stick,
myself.
dude. And I'm holding it. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
jail for this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
hell?
I
dude,
I remember that setup. It was
freaking
pretty janky.
insane.
That setup we had was pretty bad.
Ugh.
But I mean, I had never done.
Classic.
I'd never done step up, and I was like, okay, we got to try something. We got to try to reenact what
So
it.
you were just holding the pole
Dude,
straight.
I'm holding it, but he's whipped out. The thing's literally tucking up under his bell helmet, and he just is like, "Oh shit," and then just. Yeah, I'm all,
That's funny. I don't remember
He's
that.
good.
He's
I
good.
don't
That
know.
guy's
good.
good.
I remember it.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Well, I mean, the first time I hit it, I probably went pretty high. So,
dude,
like,
you
there's
want
a lot
like
of
you
time.
were at the top of the 40-foot freaking pole or whatever. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is too high.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
this
yeah.
whole thing's too much. Like, but then
that-
you went and you like, who does that?
You got gold that year.
You
I
had
did.
nothing
Yeah.
to gain from doing that.
I know.
did.
I
You
had
gotta
nothing to gain. I had nothing to gain, but
But you wanted to do
but
it.
like I love riding my dirt bike.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if it's doing that. It's riding around barrels. It's
Yeah.
like racing a supercross
Whatever.
track, whatever it is. I love riding my
And
dirt
we were
bike.
just
And that-
talking to Renner the other day, and that's one of the dudes you battled in it, right? Renner?
Yeah, I mean he took over after like I won it only once. and
Yeah.
He won it a bunch.
Yeah.
But he brought another technique to it. Like he kind of
But
he carved up the thing and did a little scrub, and I was more like
But dude,
Straight,
I
but-
feel like you brought RC, you brought Wyndham, you brought those guys into the X Games.
yeah.
You had K-Dub, and you went like one or no
In
two,
Supercross?
2 and 3 in Supermoto one.
Oh right, and Supermoto.
My
yeah.
dad built those bikes in our garage.
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
He had and the FBC Supermotos.
Yeah.
Wyndham's bike broke, so the second Scott Bell built Supermoto, K-Dub jumps on. You guys go 2-3 in the
2-3.
main.
Ben
Ben
Bostrom, he
wins.
won, yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
On
he's
the-
pretty good.
So
He's real
like,
good.
But like just
Yeah.
stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, dude. Like those bikes just were sitting in my garage in Marietta, and like
Yeah, like Supermoto was
And-
really fun. So
Oh.
it's funny because I won step up once, so that's a gold. I got second in Supermoto a couple times.
Yeah.
2 times maybe, or maybe a second and a third. And then Supercross, when it finally came around, I got second. Hansen won, I got second,
yeah.
which was pretty cool. I was like retired already by a long shot. I was already really retired.
The X Game was all
That track
about
was-
moto back then.
That track was pretty
Well,
sick.
here's the thing. X Games was always so big, it was so big, but it was always looking for an angle to get into it, right? Without being too kooky.
Yeah.
Because like X Games is judge contest, it's show.
Yeah.
At least with step up, like look, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Make it over the bar.
Yeah, there's no
you get a
judging
gold
if
medal.
the bar's up or
make
it's
over
down.
the make it over the bar, you get a gold medal.
Yeah.
So that was my thing. Like, okay, I could probably do this without like jumping the shark.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like very cautious of like I'm a pro racer. That's what I did for my living. Like I don't want to make myself look like a kook too bad.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of waiting for something, and step up kind of worked out. And then once Supermoto got into X Games, I go, okay, I'll do step up and Supermoto.
Yeah.
Because at least Supermoto I'm racing.
Racing, yeah.
Right? It's kind of doing what and so that's kind of where that came from. But yeah, X Games was always a good time. It was cool. That one year that I won was a battle between me and Byton. He like we did the winning level like 14 times, I think.
Oh, nice.
The show went like 20 minutes over. That's when they came up with the rules that like at the end of this time slot for TV, you're having a tie.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
That's just why I say like that's so cool that you did that, because you went head to head with Matt Byton. He doesn't have a lot of Supercross wins. Like his
like zero.
Like zero. I don't think
Like zero.
he's even been like, tried to race one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
So that's cool. You just went out there and went head to head, and
Yeah,
I
he
feel like
was
it
cool.
brought so much eyes and people digging it, and
Right,
just
right.
after you're retired, you're still growing motorcycle. Like
Right.
you're still growing the
And it
sport.
brought RC to come do it at San
RC,
Diego,
yeah.
and he crashed
and he stayed around for a while.
jacked his chin up that time or whatever. But
Yeah, dude.
it's for me, it's about the passion of riding the dirt bike, dude. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. Supermoto was so fun at the Home Depot Center when it had that one triple step up thing.
Yeah.
When I passed Reed, like he jumped up to the top, I jumped the whole thing and just
whole thing.
and smoked him on the landing.
Yeah.
That was pretty insane. Like I passed him for second, I think that year. That was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
right on the street against Ben Bostrom's a little bit, be like him racing me in Supercross.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's a little bit, he was incredible at that.
Yeah.
Jeff Ward was pretty awesome.
Henry.
Henry was great.
Yeah.
There was a lot of moto
But
guys
it's
that
like
got in there.
so many legends you could get back on the track together. I just love that. about it.
Totally. And we knew we couldn't race Supercross anymore, but we could race Supermoto.
Do some fun stuff, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Heck yeah.
Dude, I want to chat a little bit about this helmet right here,
Dude,
and
that's
and what and the projects we did at Spy when we were there, and it wasn't even I don't think it was my idea. I feel like it was one of the art guys at Spy at the time. I want to say it was Brent Sandor that thought of this even, but you're always known for the helmets and the iconic helmets, and it was like, dude, let's take some shots of the helmets and then actually put the print on the goggles, right?
yeah, that was like
So it was
that
like,
was kind of a collab. That was like a little bit of my idea. I mean, I'm, like ever since '93, the Showtime helmet has always got some, it's always has some bubbles on it, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that Troy came up with originally back in the day. And this is sort of the matching goggle to this helmet. And
look how good it looks. Look how good.
I never really ran.
It
This
together.
helmet's older than this goggle. right?
Yeah.
Oh, the goggles. What is it? It's probably a 10 or 15 year gap, right?
Yeah. So I never really ran it like this, like with these goggles.
That helmet had even been at your dad's old house off the 215.
It might have been.
It was, because
Yeah.
I would stare at it.
As I would stare at it.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's got honestly, I've never seen it on this helmet like this. Right?
I've never,
Kind of
Those-
looks like camo.
Dude, it looks sick.
cool.
Might be kind of cool to
Blends right
throw
in.
that thing on and do a little shoot or something, huh?
Blends right in.
Look at that thing.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. But yeah, it came out real good. And then
I
we
mean,
all
the original is the other goggle, right? So the original,
The OG.
the original came from this helmet, right? This helmet right here was a mid '90s, well, maybe '93, '94. The original Showtime, and this helmet right here is a lot newer, right? But this is the first one that Spy did. Yeah. And what's cool about this is it's got the logo on the inside of the strap.
Was this your first replica that you could buy through Bell?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that one was.
Yeah. You guys had a lot of those around your house.
Dude, there's still a few.
Yeah. So this one's a custom painted one, obviously, but back in the day when when Troy made visors, because the visors, like this is a standard visor, but back in the day, the helmets all used to come with really bad visors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so Troy was, when in the beginning he was making visors for all of us.
You know, the inspiration behind having a white strap was that when you first started running Spy in like 95,
Yeah.
that was the exact strap and the exact look. That was the logo. That wasn't the Spy logo at the time. But
No.
I was the one that was
But the
telling
white
them,
strap.
like, dude, you got to make the strap look exactly the same and like stretch that logo out like how
Yeah,
it
'cause
was.
The
And
Spies were just Scott. They were just Scott goggles, right, at first. With the
Yeah,
Spy
it was
strap on 'em?
basically a
they
Spy.
were, yeah.
It was a Spy goggle or a Scott goggle, Scott 89 series
with
goggle,
the Spy strap.
and with a Spy name. So they would take, it would have a
melt it?
Spy name right on the top of the frame right here.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of the original. These are obviously Spy's own model, but in the beginning, the way Spy started was just really a strap.
Dude, you remember the green with the white strap with the green stripe through the...
Oh yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
those...
I probably have some of those.
Yeah.
I have a bunch. I have all this.
No, you gave me a few pairs of Spies before
Yeah.
they came out. That was another thing.
Again, this helmet's much older than this goggle.
Yeah.
again, yes.
Yeah, this helmet was those original Spies.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually have a pair of those down in
And
the garage.
this helmet,
Oh, geez.
honestly,
Like those
I was
old
sponsored
ones.
by Oakley in 93, and 94 is when Spy started. So I got fired from Oakley because of Spy, really, to be honest.
Because...
Because, again, I went and invested in Spy because Spy was basically my friends at No Fear.
yeah.
Beaver, Mark and Brian, Simo, Sirwall, Boris said. There was...
Are Mark and Brian like the Bad Boy Club people? Is that...
Their Life's a Beach.
Life's a
Bad
Beach.
Boy.
Yeah,
Life's a Beach,
okay.
then Bad Boy.
I thought... Okay.
and
Yeah.
and Boris,
And Boris.
right?
Yep. Yep. And Boris. And Beaver.
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 That's the name of that's what I'm thinking
Beaver. Mostly Beaver.
Beaver.
It's Beaver, Mark and Brian, and Sirwall basically back in the day.
of. Yeah.
But so I was an investor in Spy because, again, I was trying to wear two hats, right? I'm always thinking business. I'm a racer, but I'm like, I got to figure out how to do business for myself. You
Yeah.
know, like all you hear about is like entrepreneurship, right? And
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, yeah, these guys are starting this new brand. I'm going to start with them. And that's when Spy came out. I invested some money in Spy.
Yeah.
And then, Lewis Wellen from Oakley, which is my Oakley team rider manager or whatever, he was awesome. And such a good friend of mine. But like, I remember he found out, like, I don't even know how he found out. But I was on the golf course and he calls. He's like, dude, are you like, did you invest in Spy? Like another goggle company?
How would you know?
I'm like, yeah.
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 He's like, you can't do that. I'm like, why not? I'm like, what do you mean, why not? I'm wearing Oakley. I'm an Oakley guy.
Yeah.
This is just business.
It's just business.
Yeah.
It's business.
To you, it's separate at this point.
I'm like, hey, this is
racer,
business. My business part over here is going to invest, try to, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, I wasn't going to lie to him. I was like, yeah, no, for sure. I'm an Oakley guy. Trust me. But I'm doing some business over here. He's
Doing
like,
some
dude, you can't
business.
ride for Oakley and be investing in another company. I'm like, why not? I don't know. You just can't do it.
I don't know why you
I got to
can't.
let you go. I'm like, what? It's the only time I've ever been fired, really, from anyone.
Wow.
So, it was friendly fire. I
Yeah.
loved Oakley, obviously. It wasn't the way I wanted it to go down. I was just hoping to do some business over here. My whole life I wanted to be an Oakley rider.
Yeah.
Right. And then I finally was, and I won my first Supercross championship with Oakley, and so it was an awkward day. Like I was on the golf course with someone.
But you didn't realize that at that point that everything was wrong with it, because you're like, I'm representing Oakley, I'm racing for them, winning races, and then in my personal business life with my money I earned, I'm
Yeah.
going to invest in this company.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
see your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously when you invest in companies, it's a roll of the dice. And, one of the things I've learned as I've gotten older and invested in different things and learned how to be a better businessman, you really don't want to invest in companies, or at least I don't. Mm-hmm. And I had this conversation with Dungy too. But I figured out you don't really want to invest in companies that you don't have any control over. Mm-hmm. Right? So you don't want to invest money where someone else is controlling your money.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit of advice that I've learned through my 30 years of business. And I don't do that anymore, right? Because you just you tend to lose, mm-hmm. right? If you don't have any control and any say so for that matter. Who's to say that those people are going to make the right decisions?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So that was that day, and I've been Spy ever since. So that was from '94 until now. I'm still riding for Spy.
That really locked you into the Spy deal.
Locked you.
Well, I mean, by now you can figure out that I'm a loyal guy.
Yeah.
I love my sponsors, and I don't call them sponsors. They're more like my partners.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ever be known with my personal brand as jumping around and going for the money. It's about building brands. It's about being a good partner.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you don't realize how much effort it takes to sort of turn the wheel, right? To go do something different and then try to explain that story. And then you know the guys who they are. They bounce around and all this stuff. And I just pride myself on being loyal, and this sport's given me a lot of it's given me a lot. It's given me more than I ever even imagined, right? A life I never imagined. So I continue to love the sport and try to do fun stuff, still ride my dirt bike, and I'm having a lot of fun.
With talking about all this business stuff and investing and whatnot, what would you say is the wisest or the best investment that you've made?
Yeah, like financial move.
Buying property.
There you go.
That's the best thing you could ever do for yourself.
The ranch.
Any kind of property. Any kind of property for that matter. It doesn't matter. Property as a whole is your best bet.
Over real estate, would you say land, or kind of in that same category?
I'd say any kind of real estate or land, whatever. I think land, if you can find the right spot and the right opportunity, you can buy a bigger piece of land. There's no get rich quick schemes. I figured that out. And you need to be patient, take your time, be smart, and it's easy to throw money away. Everyone can do that.
It's easy.
Right? But making money is a lot harder. So you try not to give it away. I think your safest bet is in real estate or land. If you have expendable cash and you want to do some fun projects that you can't bank on, those are always kind of fun, but it's always a roll of the dice,
Yeah.
So anyone that I know that's coming up is just use your money to buy houses, invest in land, invest in Airbnbs, invest in stuff that is a tangible asset.
So you mentioned Airbnbs. How many of those do you have?
I have 3.
3?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
I have 2 here in Oceanside, and we have a place in Park City, but we Airbnb it.
How about how that Oceanside house went down? Remember that when I brought you there?
Yeah.
And we kind of snuck in before it got on the market.
Well,
and the back door was open and the whole
the
thing.
one
and
on
you
Eaton
connected
over there?
Yeah, right by the Angelos.
Right. Remember when we did that though? We were in there looking, and I ended up knowing the guy.
Yeah, they came in. I was like, "Dude, the back door's open. Let's check it out." And then the owners got there, and then we're like, "Oh!" And
well,
then
the guy
and
I knew the guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of our first rentals. I mean, I've had properties all along the way at different houses and different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's random, right? Like right now we have like 5 or 6 properties probably, but
yeah.
Nice.
So you have your wife Kim, and then you have 2 daughters that are, you said 16.
Rowan is 18 and Bergen is 16.
Okay, 16 Bergen and 18 Rowan.
Yep.
Do they surf? Do they get to use the beach houses? Do they?
No, because the houses. I mean, we live close to the beach, so they don't really. They grew up surfing a little bit, but they play in lacrosse sports. Like Bergen's on a travel team, and so we're going. This weekend we got to go travel for some sports. But Rowan plays high school lacrosse, but Rowan also is really into like we as a family do some off-roading. Yeah, side by side stuff.
Yeah, it seems like they've
grown up,
had their share of driving, and
I've got a picture. I was scrolling, and then it comes up. Was it Bergen that had the tie-dye Traxxas little mini truck?
They both had them.
They both did.
They both had them.
It was Bergen though, but I have a picture with her from Elsinore. She's little. Big, dude.
Yeah.
Just so funny.
When I raced the Lucas Oil Truck Series, the kids race. They're called trophy carts.
Yeah.
And so when I stopped racing the Lucas Truck Series, the kids were getting a little bit older. they stopped racing because the series kind of went away out here. And then we started doing a lot of off-road, like side-by-sides. Kawasaki came out with a new KRX 1000 Sport, UTV, and we started doing that. And then during COVID, we really went out in the desert a lot on the weekends. Yeah. And now each girl has their own car, and Kim and I ride around in a car.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have a lot of fun with that. And then we try to race a little bit, like just for fun, like when we can, desert races. I didn't grow up doing that, so it's all new to me really too. Yeah. Logistically, it's a lot harder, right? Because you need like remote pits and all this stuff. Yeah. So it's like I get your dad, Scott, and I get Carl, and I get all my friends that I ride UTVs with, my old school crew. Yeah. And when we go race a race, they come out with their trucks and they support me in different areas, and me and Rowan. And in fact, we got King of the Hammers 24 coming up here in end of January, so like a couple weeks. And Rowan's going to race the desert race on the 28th, and then I'm going to race the King of the Hammers rock race, UTV rock race, which is on February 1st. So we're right in the middle of prepping cars right now for that, and we race a few desert races a year just for fun, and obviously I ride my dirt bike when I can. And
nice. Dude, I wanna chat a little bit about, like, did you see Jet? This is totally different stories, but did you see Jet's little big head thing that he did there? You notice that at A1? Did you get a glimpse of that one?
I just laughed because I did see it, and I saw that like it's like it's a new idea or something. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I've seen it before though. Yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah, I think I have seen that before.
I actually had that. I had that idea when we rode for Chaparral. Like actually, when I had my own team in '99, I think it was Mazda Yamaha team, and I think look, he's got some fun marketing stuff with his donuts and all of his stuff. But his big-headed character doesn't compete with mine.
No, not even close.
I don't think these new kids know what's up, dude. If they only saw that thing.
As I say, often imitated, never duplicated.
Cool. MC, me and Kyle are both really grateful that you made time for us to come chat on our new little podcast endeavor here. So. I just want to say thank you so much for coming in. It was great talking to you, man.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you. It was great.
Yeah. I'm excited for you guys. These pods are always fun, and you guys, we've been around each other for a long time, so you know a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool history of what's going on. But I brought you guys a few things that we can, you guys can run some contests with, maybe give away. I brought a little MC jersey right here. I'm gonna sign it, and then brought some other stuff. I'll show you.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
So there we go. A little signed TLD jersey right there.
All right.
Give that one away.
You.
And then brought a Maxxis hat. You guys know hat. Big Maxxis guy. So brought one of these we could give away.
Boom.
Obviously brought some MC Spy goggles. The limited edition. These things are sick, dude.
Yeah.
They're so classy.
You throw a little signature on top of those.
Yep. I'll be signing these, and I brought brought some stick packs of some Arma Hydrate watermelon. So
cool.
Anyone who's into a little hydration, a little working out, give away some Arma.
So. That's a nice little prize package right there.
Yeah. I'd love to have that prize pack. Anyways, dude, Jeremy. Thanks so much, man. It's just been surreal having you here and doing this, man. And you just awesome, homie. Thanks for.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, I'm down the street. So if you guys are bored and you want to talk, you can just always have me over. So cool. I know this is episode number 2, but we can always have it number 22 or number 222.
Beautiful.
Whatever. So
I like it.
Just keep it going. Keep up the good work. And, keep having fun because that's what it's about.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Later.
Cheers.
See ya.